Welcome back, everybody. Autism spectrum disorder is now estimated to affect more than 1 in 31 children in the United States. And one of the biggest goals of the MAHA movement is curbing that number. Now, one foundation fighting to help these kids is the McCullough Foundation. And joining us now to talk about all of that and more, he's world-renowned doctor and chief scientific officer at the Wellness Company. He's also the author of the new book, Vaccines, Mythology, Ideology, and Reality, an absolute must-read. Dr. Peter McCullough, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, sir, this landmark study by the McCullough Foundation, tell us what you found.
This is the first major evidence-based update since the 2004 Institute of Medicine report on the topic of childhood vaccinations and autism. 82% of information in the McCullough report is new information since 2004. That's the first point. And, there's no single cause of autism, but there are risk factors. We did find that the largest and most dominant and also modifiable risk factor is routine childhood vaccination in susceptible children. Now, what makes a child more susceptible would be being a premature baby, having older parents, siblings with autism, babies who have in utero exposure to drugs that moms take, and usually serious drugs like antipsychotics, anti-epileptics, antidepressives, not Tylenol, by the way. It's not, that essentially has been ruled out. What we're really left with is the fact that a big battery of vaccines has been given. It's exploded since 1986 when the manufacturers were giving liability protection. And now 12 studies show in today's world, a child born today who's healthy remains healthier with no vaccines whatsoever.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, so a lot of times medical studies come and go, doctor, and nothing happens. This one seems to have caught the political fancy in Washington. People are really talking about this. What are the next steps? How does the political system of America get engaged on this medical issue?
Well, it certainly made the rounds on social media. Now, there hasn't been any credible doctor with medical authority who's questioned any of the data in the paper. Sadly, there's been some ad hominem attacks which aren't helpful. It is posted on the European Commission Zenodo preprint server for everyone to read. It's approaching 100,000 downloads and reads. The typical paper gets 250. To give you an idea of its importance, it's been submitted to a major neurology journal today, and we'll marshal it through the peer-reviewed process, which will be laborious and will take some time, months, even years. But I think this is going to be coming to Senate and congressional hearings. Now, the report serves as a basis to discuss all the relevant information. And many have been asking, why didn't HHS deliver this type of report? Well, I can tell you, HHS is in the vaccine business, and they're simply not going to break that bias towards vaccines. We needed an independent foundation, and that's where McCullough Foundation stepped up.
Yeah, incredible study. And, this has become a mainstream conversation. And I tend to hear, as far as vaccines as the risk factor, I tend to hear two different schools of thought. One of them is it's the vaccines themselves. They have these heavy metals in them that end up as deposits in the brain. And then another school of thought is that it's not necessarily the vaccines themselves. It's the fact that we're giving, 15 at once and then another 10 and another 5, and we're overloading the baby's system. Mm-hmm. Is it either one or the other, or is it a combination of the two?
I think it's the latter. It's really inflammation, or what we call encephalitis, or inflammation of the brain that occurs after a big battery of vaccines. 20 vaccines list encephalitis as a possible side effect of childhood vaccines. And to me, clinically, the autism as well as ADHD, tics, and epilepsy, they look like post-encephalitic syndrome. So there's no specific vaccine, no specific ingredient, but vaccines given in combination early during the neurodevelopmental time frame is where all the risk is. Now, vaccines given separately and given later in life are far safer.
So important. I want to tackle another topic that doesn't get talked about, but the trend lines have been there for quite a few decades now. Decreasing testosterone in males, particularly in America. What do we see on that? What are some of the solutions?
The wellness companies had some great material come out on this in the last few weeks. Make sure everybody signs up and gets the newsletter. But male testosterone levels in the United States have been dropping since the 1970s. And that is, middle to later age males is progressively going down. And people are asking the question, why? Is it something in the food supply? Is there something opposing androgens? But suffice it to say, more and more men do end up turning towards replacing testosterone. And what the wellness company has come up with is a product called Mars, which incorporates multiple natural ingredients that have evidence base themselves in stimulating the Leydig cells, which are the cells within the testes to produce testosterone, a far more natural and safer approach than testosterone injections.
Dr. McCullough, when I think of high testosterone, I guess I probably think of Popeye. When I think of low testosterone, I probably think of one of the male characters on Big Bang Theory. But there is a health implication to having low testosterone for men, isn't there?
There is, and certainly bone strength, muscle strength, loss of mental acuity, all of those play a role. Certainly reduced libido, that's the big one, decreased interest in sexual encounters. So all of these play a role. It's healthier to have a healthy testosterone level in the normal range, 400 to 1,000 picograms. And if men have questions, they should start out with a blood test, the testosterone, the free testosterone, the luteinizing hormone, and then, of course, the related hemoglobin measurement. If testosterone replacement therapy is considered, I really think a natural supplement should be attempted first before a man commits to the replacement therapy.
Makes some good sense.
Dr. Peter McCullough, world-renowned doctor and chief scientific officer at one of our favorite places, the Wellness Company. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, sir. And to our audience, remember to go to twc.health/justnews and use that promo code JUSTNEWS. You can save 10% today. That's twc.health/justnews. Promo code is JUSTNEWS. Save 10%. All right, one more break, and we'll be back on the other side.